If you're listening to this, then you know what I mean when I say red pill Muslim. But it's important to point out that officially, there is no such thing as a red pill Muslim. The brothers who I am loosely referring to actually reject red pill ideology on their platforms. But they always say that there are facets from red pill ideology that are good and consistent with their values. Usually, these facets are the ones related to male self-development, which, fair play, that's a good thing. And the treatment of women as second-class citizens. They won't say this directly, but indirectly, the message is clear. Now, why is this a problem? Because their audience is not making much distinction here. And their audience, which are especially young male Muslims, are following both the Muslim creators and the red pill creators. You see it in the comment section of both platform types that the message has been received that women are somehow inferior. Now, we are the Muslim Marriage Podcast, and this has had a severe negative impact on the marriages, or lack thereof, of Muslims. And given that this is a series on red flag individuals and how to avoid them, it's important that we talk about red pill ideology in the Muslim community. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Muslim Marriage Podcast, where we show you how to find and build a healthy marriage as a Muslim. I'm Zahra Hassan.
And I'm AJ, and we've been married for 4 years.
And if you haven't already subscribed to our channel on YouTube, please do so. It really, really helps us out. And before we get started, it's important to say that this is not directed, that this episode or nothing in this episode is directed to all Muslim content creators. It's not even directed to any specific content creator. Those who have a good intention to benefit our community, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put barakah in all that they do. Right?
Ameen.
Ameen. This episode is meant to be informative to the rest of us, the consumers, who watch and engage with Muslim content. It's important that you understand where this animosity in our community is coming from, and be aware of the damage it is doing. It is destroying thousands of marriages before they even start. Believe me, I know. Red pill ideology is not Muslim, has zero to do with Islam, and has implanted in the global community, and was implanted in the global communities to destroy them from the inside out. Now let's get started. So what do you think about all that I have blabbered on about so far?
I agree with you that the red pill is not of Islam.
Mm-hmm.
The definition of red pill ideology for me is when you take someone who was spoiled, right? You take a spoiled child,
Okay.
and you don't teach them any better.
Yeah.
And so now they grow up thinking that everyone is there to serve them.
Yeah.
And that they can do no wrong.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So entitlement.
Yeah.
Entitlement. Okay. I agree that there is definitely a degree of entitlement that permeates anything that has to do with this ideology.
Mixed with hypocrisy.
I think a big facet of it is insecurity. Most of it is insecurity. But if we go back, right, the official narrative, right? If you ask any of the people who subscribe to this ideology, where did it come from? The official narrative is that in 2013, a gentleman named Rollo Tomasi, right, published a book called The Rational Male. And in which he introduced red pill ideology, and a lot of the tenets of the ideology come from this book. Just briefly, just for the people, so that we're all on the same page of what this is. According to an AI summary, because I read a lot of books, but this is one book I'm just not going to read. So I just took an AI summary. According to this AI summary, how he defines it, it says that red pill theory is a framework of evolutionary, biological, and psychological realities designed to help men understand the true, often harsh nature of intersexual dynamics. It aims to move men from a blue pill naive worldview to understanding hypergamy and building positive masculinity. Okay, so there are aspects of male self-development here, which are always good, right? Any improvement of oneself for men or women or any individual is always a positive. However, there is obviously elements here where he's talking about understanding hypergamy, and he frames masculinity as a reaction to feminism.
Yeah.
Right? In my opinion, right? This entire theory is developed as a reaction to the internet understanding of what feminism is.
Yeah.
Right? That's just my personal opinion. And he uses a lot of language to sort of in order to legitimize this ideology. He uses a lot of scientific language to give credibility where there is no credibility, because people are human beings, right? There are evolutionary biologists and ecologists who study the dynamics of species, the strategies that different species take for survival. But to take the terms used in that science and to apply it to this extent to people is, in my opinion, wild. It's wild because we're people, we're not animals, right? Anyway, that's my critique of this ideology based on what he said. That's not the important thing. I said that that's the official narrative. This is where it comes from. It turns out that's not what actually happened, right? Are you surprised by that?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, so Mr. Rollo Tomasi, just with a little bit of digging, right? You'll see that that's not his real name. This is
okay.
It's used as
Alias.
Yeah, and as that's the word, alias, right? Because he works very hard to try to stay anonymous. The only information that comes out is that this individual is a Christian, and there are reports of what his real name is online. I'm not going to say it. But this isn't even the first public publication of red pill ideology in a form very, very, very similar to this. In 2007, there appeared publications, I believe it was on a blog, by a different individual. Now, this individual, I'm not going to say his name because I would like things to keep going well for us, In Shaa Allah. But just with a little bit of digging, you'll find out that this individual, his parents are connected to the U.S. government, live closely to another country that is a very strong ally of the U.S. government, would have some ties to the military, and right now, and as his career progressed, he moved up and up and up through the echelons of government until he reached the very top. Right, so with some very, very top members. I say all that to say that for a lot of people who subscribe to this ideology, in whole or in part, I bet that they're thinking that this was an organic movement, right? It was an organic ideology that somebody sat down, paid attention to the patterns, and said, you know what, this would be a better way, and just they organically. I don't think this was organic at all.
You think it was a psyop?
I think it was a psyop, right? That's my personal opinion. If you don't agree, I encourage you to do your own research. Just with the smallest amount of digging, a lot of information comes up, right?
So I mean, there is credence to your theory because we recently discovered another group that was also a psyop.
Yeah, right. So, and again, that is also our opinion based on what it was that we read. But I think that information is very, very important because elements of this ideology seem to permeate so much of the discourse in the young Muslim communities, right? In young Muslim communities. Like before I coached Muslim women, I was coaching both men and Muslim women. And actually non-Muslim and Muslim, but I was also coaching Muslim men, right? And I would come across quite a few young men who in some way or in whole or in part subscribe to this ideology that we spoke about hypergamy, that this idea that women are simply out for the most optimal male. They're not very loyal. They respond to dominant, like they're just a function of their biological strategy, and that therefore they should be treated as such. And combined with some misquoted and misunderstood hadiths in Islam, would come up with this idea that somehow they are inferior and to be less respected, and to be treated as less respected than men overall.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah, but it's, I mean, people are impressionable, right? People are impressionable. That's just how it is. And I think what's important to remember is that this information is never coming from the pulpits. It's never the imams, never the scholars, never even the students of knowledge
it's coming from the unlearned.
Yes, those of us who are unlearned, right? So the rest of us who are just regular practicing Muslims and reading unofficially. And I mean, that's like sitting down and reading some information about our religion and teaching other people is a noble practice, and it's wonderful. But it's important to understand that people who know more than you know more than you, right? So
not even just that, it's also important to understand that we as Muslims are told if you don't know for certain, don't speak it.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And so some of the red pill folks, they'll talk without knowledge.
Yeah.
And they don't seem to understand that they're just digging themselves a hole.
Yeah. And it's let's put a little bit into context, right? Because I grew up I'm in that generation who grew up with one foot in the internet and one foot out of the internet. So I remember being there when Google was first a thing, when the first YouTube videos dropped, all of these things. Yeah, you were. We were there.
We were there together.
You were there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was also alive at this time.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. What I say that to say that there the men, the brothers, right, who did da'wah online, the Muslim brothers who created content for da'wah purposes, primarily to non-Muslims. And there were also a lot of brothers who created content for Muslims, right? Where they would read about a topic, they would choose a topic, read about a topic that came up somehow in the community, and then they would give that information back to us. That was a golden age because they served a very, very important purpose, because the information we were getting from the imams, although it was very important, there was a lot of information that the imams weren't able to talk to us about in this brand new world where the internet had just come out, where social media had just come out, where, you know, music was thriving and movies were thriving, and all of these, you know, fitnas, right? All of these tests that just were not being discussed in the more formal areas, from in the masajid and the Islamic conferences. So these brothers who are online, who went and did some research, and then came back and reported, saying, "Hey, I'm just like you. This is the research that I've done. I'm just reporting back. This is what I know." Yeah. It served a very, very wonderful and important function. And it was very helpful for me, and I'm sure it was very helpful for a lot of people. But after the mid 2010s, everything seemed to suddenly shift. Right? It suddenly seemed to be that there was this animosity, particularly between women and men, both in the Muslim and non-Muslim communities. First in the non-Muslim communities, and then more in the Muslim communities. And even when you start to watch the content, even the thumbnails and the captions that are describing women just started to become a lot more harsh. And I know when you and I were talking about this earlier, you told me that even for the da'wah brothers who are giving da'wah online, who are speaking to non-Muslims, the way that they would speak to non-Muslim women seemed to get harsher. Over time, as compared to what it was before, when you compare it to non-Muslim men, right? So there was just this meanness There was just this meanness that wasn't there before. And that was just in the content creator side. When you look at the consumer side, where the rest of us exist, right? The subreddits or the threads or the places where people exist online in the forums, you could see there was like almost an anger with respect to whenever a topic was brought up. There was a lot more anti-women anger and reactive anti-men anger. Yeah, where to the point where you had gender wars and that are still ongoing to this day and are really coloring individuals' idea of what to think of the other gender. So now I have, whenever I'm coaching young men and women, I have young men who are so concerned that women are completely materialistic, completely unloyal, they're going to leave, and that marriage might not be worth it at all. And then I have young women who are coming and they're saying men are completely unsafe. I don't know what he's going to do. Also unloyal, and that marriage might not be worth it. And plus, I have all the newlywed couples who are coming from this generation, who are having a really hard time being at all patient with each other because they're coming from this transactional place. That I did this for you, therefore you should do this for me. Otherwise, you're one of these men, or otherwise you're one of these women. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think it's ruining so many marriages. Like this whole ideology. What do you think about all that?
I think that you quoted 2010 or around there when things started going crazy.
Yeah, the 2015, 2016, around that time, it started to really ramp up. Yeah.
YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Was it not launched in 2008, right?
I think it was in early 2000s. 2001.
I think 2008, somewhere there. Right? We can fact check this.
Yeah.
Right?
Early 2000s.
Okay. Yes. So we just did some fact checking there.
Okay.
Seems like YouTube came out about 2005, right? And for the first, if you remember, the first couple of years, I don't know if you actually were engrossed in the culture.
Yeah.
But the first couple of years of YouTube, the content creators would just be doing their own thing, doing videos out of their basements, right, in their backyards, things like that. And they were doing it for the love of the game.
Yeah.
And the Muslim da'wah scene, also doing it for the love of the game.
Yeah.
And then they started getting monetized.
Yeah.
And then that's when things started getting crazy.
Yeah.
People that would do harmless pranks, like, is your refrigerator running? You better go catch it, right?
Yeah.
Are now running around punching people.
Oh, yeah. And YouTube in general.
Yeah. They're running around punching people on camera to try to get more clicks, more views, right? To try to get more money. People start acting up. And so I think that's where things started to shift. Yeah. Where people now started doing content not for the benefit of others or not for the fun of it, but rather to see if they can make money off of it. Yeah. And for a couple of years, people are not making a lot of money off of it, right? But we fast forward to the past couple of years, like 3, 4, 5, 6 years, right? Yeah. And you'll have people that start up da'wah and they have good intentions, but something happens where they start to see views, numbers. If sometimes there are good ones that or better ones that don't monetize, don't do ads, right? They still work, right? But you'll also see some of them that have sponsors or they'll do advertisements on YouTube, like they do monetization, and that that's not a bad thing per se.
No, it's not.
But it gets tricky now, because when you have an incentive behind making your content, you're gonna want to try to like do clickbait, or like your titles.
Yeah.
When they first start out, like sincere atheist asks questions about Islam,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
A couple years down the line, you might have arrogant atheist refuses to rationalize.
Yeah.
Or things like that, right?
Yeah.
You notice that the titles, they start to get more and more aggressive, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's more so a psychological shift.
Yeah.
Because it's not just the money there, but it's the person's psyche, right? The person who's doing da'wah, their psyche is also taking a beating.
Yeah.
Because the people will ask the same questions over and over and over again. You'll find yourself talking on the same topics over and over and over again. And every day you might have 9 people asking the same question. And you're like, I already made a video about this.
Yeah.
Go ahead and look over there.
Yeah.
Right? You can watch this video for a full rundown. But this, that, and that.
Yeah.
And then the next day you go live. Another person says, hey man, why did they say this and this and that?
Yeah.
Or why did they do this and this and that? And you're like, give me something unique.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm here to teach people. Now all of a sudden I'm a frequently asked questions blog.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I've been reduced to. And so you can sort of see their frustration there.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they start to generalize people as one conglomerate.
Yeah.
Oh, you're asking this question. You must have bad intentions, because if you were sincere, you would have done some research on this, seen my previous video, and understood.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're asking this question means that you must hate me.
Yeah, like okay, so it's no secret that when you are creating content in general about a specific topic or for a specific niche or group of people, that there is going to be some repetition. It's just part of what you do, right?
Yeah.
So us as the Muslim Marriage Podcast, any one of our listeners who has listened to more than 10 episodes is going to start to hear me say a lot of the same things, because it's the same topic that we are trying to teach from different angles.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? It's just the nature of the game. But I do understand what you're saying, because when you start creating content on any level, right? Like, for example, if you are deciding to become a carpenter and you go start taking carpentry classes and you've only been going to classes for 2 weeks, you're now able to see the field in a way that a layman cannot see it, right? So even though you and I have been creating content relatively for a short time compared to these brothers, there's still things that we can see in strategy from the way that they present content. So I agree with you that there is that element of trying to engineer topics or engineer thumbnails or titles and etc. in order to gain the most views, or to gain to just to get the largest audience possible, because that's the ultimate goal here. But when you start to let that be your motivation, when you start to let that really color how you see and present information, that becomes a real problem, especially when you are in the field of specifically talking about Islam, right? So because I didn't really want that to be a factor in how we presented content, that's why I'm we're very careful to explain that we are just regular practicing Muslims, right? And that we're not talking about information explicitly specific for Islam. Because when you don't really want to monetize da'wah, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna really mess with your intentions or any ajr, right? Or any good deeds that you would get. So it's not da'wah that we're doing, right? We're just talking about marriage and relationships and the things that affect those. Having said all of that, if we go back to red pill Muslims is what I'm calling it. Even though there's no such thing as a red pill Muslim, I think the listener, you understand what I mean by red pill Muslims. Because there are other terms for creators who create this content, and I don't want to use those terms because they're derogatory, used in a negative way. So we're just going to go with this one. What we are trying to discuss here, explain here to people who subscribe to any part of this theory, is to help you understand that, for number one, this is not a theory that came up organically, right? So it's important you understand that this is probably created based on some other person's agenda. And to confirm that for yourself, it just takes a little bit of research, right? Number two, that there is this element of creating content for views. And because of the success of red pill theory outside of the Muslim content, there is going to be an element of you're going to get more views if you create content adjacent to that, or you speak about topics in a manner that is aligned with that, so that you have so much content of, and it always makes me sad, like Muslims, like Muslim men creating content against specific Muslim women, or Muslim women against specific Muslim men, because the content goes both ways. Both ways you're going to get more views, right? It's very sad. And there are lots of Muslim women who are also creating red pill Muslim content, which also doesn't make any kind of sense.
That feels like it's self-defeating.
Yeah, right. Like the call is coming from inside the house at some point, right? So again, like, for the people who are consuming content and you start to see elements of red pill theory that you've seen in Muslim content or in a Muslim person's language, it's important that you understand that this is, number one, not a part of Islam. Number two, that this is not an organic movement. This is a psyop, in my opinion. And number three, that there is an element of using this language for the purposes of getting more views, because this is a full-time job for many of the content creators, right? This is how they make money and support themselves and families, right? So they're incentivized to get more views in order to feed themselves and their families. So that could be part of the reason why they're using this language and why they're telling you to treat women this way and to think of women this way. The fourth reason, which I think is very important, why you shouldn't really subscribe to this ideology, is that all of the content creators, whether men and women, most of them men at this point, who are speaking about red pill adjacent things, the red pill Muslims, they are either single or Muslim. Sorry, they are either single or married. Sorry about that, single or married. And if they are single and they are telling you, like, as a Muslim, this is what our religion says about women, therefore this is the nature of the woman. Any man who is single who's telling you about the nature of a woman, I promise you, he has no idea what he's talking about. Yeah. Especially if he's talking about the nature of a woman in the context of marriage. If he's not married, he has no idea what he's talking about, right? Yeah. It's as if he's trying to describe to you what it's like to give birth. Yeah. This is why whenever I speak about men, right? You know that I come to you first. Yeah. And I ask you, because I'm not a man. The information I have is extremely limited. And if I speak about it at all, I will let people know this is extremely limited. I'm not a man. I don't know, right? So for any man who tells you about the nature of women, especially in the context of marriage, who is not married, I promise you, he has no idea what he's talking about. It's all theoretical knowledge that will immediately go out the window when he gets married. Absolutely. And he will realize when he gets married that he didn't actually know anything, right? It's just a fact. As for those Muslim content creators who subscribe to red pill theory and who are married, many of them have in one way or another brought their wives onto their platforms, right? In one format or another. And as a relationship coach, I've been doing this for a long time, right? Any relationship coach will tell you that part of what we do is we watch the dynamics between a couple to try to understand. Like, there's a lot of information that we can get simply by watching a couple. And this has been proven over and over on multiple different YouTube videos. There's YouTube videos where they have 20 individuals, right, that make up 10 couples. And they'll bring out a marriage coach or a relationship coach and they'll ask them, can you pair up the two that are actually couples, right? And they've done this successfully. There's so many different similar videos that show that this is a real skill. So part of what I do is I watch the dynamics. So every single one of these red pill Muslim content creators who has brought their wives onto their platforms, they do not subscribe to what they're telling you. Those relationships are usually very warm and very healthy, and that cannot exist without mutual respect. So if a content creator is telling you that women are inferior, they know less, they're less intelligent, they need to be super submissive, they need to be dominated upon, all of these ideas, that's not the way that he treats his wife, right? Because if he treated his wife that way, unless there was something seriously wrong, it would not possible to build a warm and healthy relationship like the one that I see with my eyes, right?
Yeah.
So the ones who are single have no idea what they're talking about, and the ones who are married, I promise you, don't believe what they're saying. So for those reasons, it's important, if you are somebody who subscribes to red pill ideology, take the good. The good is the aspects of male self-development, of exercising, of developing your self financially, developing the relationships that you have in your life already, all of the positive aspects. Take those aspects and leave everything else. Yeah. When it comes to how you should think about women, go to our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Go to our Quran, right? Go to what is said about Maryam. Go to what is said about Aisha, about Khadija. We have so many examples of amazing women. Go to the way that the Sahaba treated their wives, the Sahabiyat. Go to the way that the Sahabiyat came and treated their husbands. Like, there's so many hadiths, right? There are so many scholars who have written books on the topic of marriage. Go to those books. Go to what the imams say. Go to what the scholars say, right? Yeah. The people who are learned. Go and see what they have said about marriage, about how they treat their wives. There's so much information online from people who have degrees, who have credentials in Islamic studies, right? Go to those sources. But to the rest of the sources who even have a hint of a whiff of disrespecting women, it's not it. That's not Islam. On the corollary, for my sisters now, this is going to be a conversation just between me and you sisters.
I'm plugging my ears.
All right, so it's just us, In Shaa Allah. There has been, like I said at the beginning, there has been an actual agenda that was set up to separate the men from the women, right? To create animosity between the men and the women, both in the Muslim and non-Muslim communities. And unfortunately, that has been successful. Yeah. And whether or not, so you can hear me, okay. Yeah. So whether or not it continues to be successful is up to us, right? Is up to us. Definitely, if you are a sister who is in the process of searching for a husband or for a spouse, it's important to be cognizant that this ideology exists and that there are men who subscribe to it, and that you do what you can to filter these gentlemen out for right now, simply because this ideology is not compatible with a healthy marriage. I have never seen it work in a healthy marriage.
Not once.
The best way to know what's the best way to know whether a man subscribes to red pill ideology?
Ask him.
He'll say no.
Yeah, but it's the way he says no. If he says, no, honey, I don't, then he likely doesn't. If he says, silence, woman, then he probably does.
All right, that is definitely one way. But the most reliable way that works every single time is casually ask him about his opinion on single mothers. Right? Because people who subscribe to red pill ideology cannot help themselves. And I am sure there's going to be one or two brothers who will be telling me about what they think of single mothers somewhere in the comments. Do you know that we've made, alhamdulillah, almost like 90 videos I don't know
Yeah.
which video number this is, but almost 90 videos. And
This might be 90.
Right? So over those 90 videos, we've had 100% likes across all platforms, except on one video.
On one video.
On one video, which is notoriously disliked.
The single mothers video?
The one on the one talking about single mothers and humanizing single mothers, which is apparently an intolerable concept for some people.
How dare we?
They can't help it. So if you want to see whether or not a man subscribes to red pill ideology, ask him casually, just like, what do you think about single mothers? And he will tell you. But in the so that's for those who are trying to get married. But in the meantime, for those brothers who you come across in the comment sections, in the masajids, and just who clearly subscribe to this ideology, to the extent that you can be patient with them, just be patient with them, right? Because they're still members of our community. They have been misled by people who are very, very good at misleading people. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we will make dua for them that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala leads them back. Honestly, if anything, if there's anyone to blame, it would be our imams and our scholars who have not spoken about this topic and about this danger enough. And for some reason, this is a topic that people who have the ability and the credentials to speak about it don't speak about it. So if there's any fault, that's where the fault would lie. But until then, we just make dua for our brothers, and we don't let the people who have had the agenda to separate us from them win.
Yeah.
They're still members of our community. We're going to support them in whatever ways that are possible, and just gently let them know that women are not the enemy, and that the difficulties that they're experiencing in their lives were not created by women. They were created by people a lot richer than any of us.
Their whole point was to keep everyone poor.
Exactly, and separate
50-year mortgages.
Right? And separate from
about
each
that,
other. Yeah.
by the way.
A
50-year mortgage, you know when people normally want to retire?
Yeah.
They want to retire at 65. That means in order to have your house paid off by the time you retire, you have to start working at 15.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah. They're trying to bring back child labor.
I think they might have been successful in some places.
Yeah.
On that lovely note, do you have any questions?
No, yeah, we were pretty good.
Okay, so hopefully all of that makes sense. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala unite our brothers and our sisters once again, and as we really need each other right now. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us all to build happy, healthy families, who build happy, healthy, strong communities, who are able to protect the people most vulnerable in our communities. We need each other right now, right? And we're not going to let Rolo, Tomasi, or whatever his name is, or any of these people separate us from one another, inshallah. Ameen. So if you have made it this far in the episode, Jazaa K'Allah Khayr, brother or sister, I really appreciate you. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe to our channel, because getting monetized on YouTube is not a bad thing. Inshallah. So that's what we don't fault any of the brothers we spoke about earlier for that. But please subscribe to our channel. It really does help us out. If you are a young woman and you are in the process of searching for a spouse and you have questions about what to actually talk about during the talking stage, please feel free to download my free compatibility guide in the description in the link below. That should be everything. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Stay safe, and assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.